We don't like that. It's really dark. Okay, so I'm going to wait for a few of you to get here. I'm going to get my notes up real quick so we can review a little bit. Five of you. Nice. I know it's dark. I want to use this thing back here, but I'll have to find a different way to do it. Maybe I'll do it. Let me do it a different way. What if I went like that? Ooh, that's better, isn't it? That's better. All right, hold on. Yeah, once you get it down off there, bud, bring it over here. Guess we should have tried this out a little better.
Where do you go?
Put it on this. Put it on the chair here. No, turn around. Turn around. Let go. Okay, do your work.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll just move it over there when I want to draw. Thomas says hi. Yeah.
Hey, Thomas.
We want your face visible. Oh, you miss me. That's nice. And my beard's getting longer, which my wife keeps telling me I need to shave it. And so, Cole, can you get me some? Can I have some Coke? Thanks. All right. So we have gone through two sections here so far. And who all's here? We have Thomas, Garrett. I don't know who else. How else to see? Whoever else is here. Wow, that's loud. But we only have 2 slides left for the second part of the quiz, and we're going to do quiz on Friday. I've thought about trying to set up a Zoom so that you can ask questions while I do it, and maybe we'll do that. Try to do that tomorrow if I can get that set up. Maybe I'll try to do that and get you invited to it, and that way we can do that. And we'll go from there. Hi, Ellie. And so for the most part, from the quizzes and everything, I think you guys are doing well. I think you're understanding it. I think it's okay. Like I said, I would probably rather be there to walk you through this, but your quizzes have been pretty good. So let me do the last 2 slides of the second part of this. We went through the electrical event stuff, and we're going to go over that again today just to make sure. But this is where I can't add in the slides. But so if we're on slide 46, okay, which is we're talking about the Frank-Starling law of the heart, meaning that the more stretch that you get in the heart, the more contraction that you get. Okay. So if your heart's working harder, the more blood that's being pumped into the heart, the more blood that's being pumped into the heart, the more strong of a contraction you're going to get. Okay. Which is a good thing, right? Because if the heart's working harder and you need more blood delivered and you get more of a stretch, you want that heart to push harder so that it ejects enough blood to get out of there. Okay, so that's the Frank-Starling law. The degree of stretch determines the stroke volume. Okay, so that's what that SV means, the stroke volume. So the more stretch equals the more force of contraction. Okay, and then this last slide here is when we talk about regulation of heart rate. All right, so when we have a regular heart rate, we like things to be regular, right? We like things to be homeostatic. We like things to be predictable. We don't like a range out of whatever, right? So the function of a regulated heartbeat is to ensure that blood is distributed evenly between systems, between the system and the pulmonary circuit. Okay, right? So we need this balance between the right side of the heart and the lungs and oxygenating ability, and then we need it to balance out with the needs of the system, right? If we're going to pump everything all over the system, all over the body, we need that to be done there as well. So we need to be able to oxygenate the blood as well as we need to deliver it as well. Okay, so that's one of the functions of a regulated heart rate. So if one side, okay, so we're now on slide 47, right? Point 2. If one side starts pumping more blood, the other side receives that blood, stretching ventricles, causing an increased force of contraction, so the more pumping power, right? So if one side is not responding correctly, this can cause blood to back up, causing a heart disorder, right? So basically, that second section there is talking about the Frank Starling, right? So if all of a sudden the right side of the heart is getting the trigger like, hey, we need to get more blood into the lungs, and it starts to pump harder, that means more blood is going to be dumped into the left side of the heart, which is going to cause the heart to contract harder because its demand is going up. Okay. Then that last point there is if you start and you mess with one side of the heart, right? So if we say, let me see if we can get this to do this. See if we can get this to do this. All right. So if this is the heart, right? This is the heart. Superior vena cava, inferior vena cava, right atrium, right ventricle, left atrium, left ventricle. Okay? When we see this, if all of a sudden this side of the heart, this side here, starts pumping hard, pumping harder, and this side does not pick up the slack. So this is the left. Ooh, this is going to be all backwards, isn't it? Ooh, this is weird. All right. Ooh, okay. So this is left. This is the right side. Oh my, this is bad. Okay. So if no, because it's backwards on here. Like it's reversing.
Wait. Can you reverse your picture?
How what? I don't know how I would do that.
Not you.
It's good. Oh, it's good for you, so it's not backwards.
Can you?
So if I write R, that looks like an R to you. That's how we usually see it. Oh, you mean like my handwriting's terrible? So that looks like an R.
Yes, that's what yours says.
Okay, so okay. Hey, Matea, I haven't seen you for a long time. Can I get me a napkin so I can wipe that off? Okay, so let's do this again. Okay, so if we're talking about this, let me try to draw more anatomical. Right, talking about right atrium, right ventricle. We have our septum. We have our valves. We have our left atrium, our left ventricle. Okay. Superior vena cava, inferior vena cava. Okay. So if this side, the right side of the heart is the what? Pulmonary circuit. The left side of the heart is the systemic. So these need to pump equally, right? This side is pumping into the lungs. This side is pumping into the body. If this side is going crazy and going lots of pumping and pushing a lot of blood into the lungs, but this side doesn't pick up the slack, that means blood is going to back up into the lungs and cause a problem. Does that make sense? So anyway, the point of that last slide is that these need to stay coordinated in order for it to efficiently deliver and not plug up the system. Okay. And so part of that happens if this side starts to work harder and starts to deliver more blood to the left side of the heart. That Frank Starling law comes in where there's more blood in there, the stretch is there. And so you're going to have more of a contraction, which is going to mean it's going to try and eject more blood as it leaves the heart. Does that make sense? Okay. So those are the last two slides. So technically you are good to go for the quiz. So one of the things that we want to do here is we want to look at, well, first of all, if you have any questions, I want to know what they are. Okay. If we need to go over structures of the heart, if we need to go over flow, if we need to go over valves, if we need to go over the electrical portion of it, I'm assuming that's what we want to do. So let's do that real quick. Okay. So when we do that, when we talk about this, right? When we talk about that, all of these different portions, it is all measuring electrical activity, right? We talked about how here, where we talk about this is atrial depolarization. We talked about how this so this is atrial depolarization. This here is ventricular depolarization. And then we talked about how this here is ventricular repolarization. Okay. So this is the PQR. Was it PQR? What is it again? Anyway, the electrocardiograph thing was confusing. Okay. So we have these different portions, right? So what this is measuring is that electrical event that is passing through the heart, right? So when we talk about this, and we talk about our heart, let me see, how far can we see? We talk about our heart, right? Here's our heart. Here's our right atrium, our left atrium, our right ventricle, our left ventricle, our septum, our valves, right? We had a node here, which is our SA node. This thing lays down some serious ink. SA node, which is our pacemaker, right? This is where the signal starts, okay? That is where the signal starts. The signal starts and it'll go to both sides and work its way down towards the ventricles or towards these AV valves. Well, right here, we have a AV node, right? And that is going to pick up the signal and send it down the bundle branches into the Purkinje fibers, right? But the thing about this AV node, what does it do? The AV node does what? What does the AV node do? It causes what? A slight what? Okay, I'm glad no one's answering. It causes a slight delay, all right? So we have this pass, and what we're measuring here is in this portion of the, get out of here. In this portion of the section here is where we get this little thing here, right? Where we get this depolarization, where we see this wave spread through the atriums is what we're seeing here in that complex. Is it PQRS? Is it QRS? It's QRS. And let me see. This is bad. I should know that. PQRS. Yeah, right. So the P wave, the P wave, as my children giggle that I just said P wave. The P is, the PQRS. Yeah, the P wave is this right here. Okay. Are you able to see this? Is this too small? Should I draw it bigger?
No.
Everybody's-
You want me to read it?
No, they're used to this.
How can people read that?
Yes.
They can totally do this. Anyway, I have faith in them.
Read it.
Most of them, anyway. All right, so I need hey Clay, I need a wet one. Cardi, can you give me a wet
Oh
one?
my.
Yeah, just all right. So, okay, so here we are. So the P wave is this right here. When we have the SA node, it starts the depolarization process, and the electrical event starts to go and spread across the atrium, and it's going to start to squeeze at the top, and it's going to take, and as it squeezes, it's going to push its way down towards the atrioventricular valves. Okay, that signal is going to reach the AV node, which is going to cause it to delay by just a split second. And the reason for the delay is so that we get some more contraction, so that these atria can fully empty and fill the right and left ventricles. Okay, that's going to delay for a split second of time. Then it's going to carry that electrical signal down here, and it's going to stimulate these Purkinje fibers. And now we're going to start to get the QRS portion of it, right? So we've already done the P wave here, right? Which is this whole event right there.
How can people read that?
And then we have this right here, this QRS complex, which is now talking about the electrical event of these are going to start to fire. And now we're going to get a contraction, and it's going to squeeze from the bottom, forcing the blood up towards the semilunar valves. Okay? And then what ends up happening is then we get this last section here, which is right here. And that is after the ventricle has contracted, now it's going to start to repolarize.
Really?
Okay? So now it's going to repolarize. So, polarity, positive and minus charges, right? And so when an electrical event goes through, it causes ion channels to open up, and that your electrical equipment, like your EKG, they can detect that. And so they can detect it when it causes a contraction, but they can also detect it repolarizing. Now, a lot of you may be asking, probably none of you, but I'll put it in there anyway. The atria, they repolarize as well, but they're going to repolarize somewhere in this event here. And those ventricles have so much more stuff going on that the QRS wave covers up the atrial repolarization. Does that make sense? So did that help? Do we need to do it again? We'll do it again tomorrow probably, because I'm going to try and Zoom this thing so we can all be on here and you can ask questions and we can have a good time laughing at Smithers or something.
Smithers.
All right. So does that make better sense at all? What I would probably try to do is draw out the different waves and try to draw out on a piece of paper in the same color what is happening while it does it. And I think if you can start to correlate that, that should help some. Okay, so we understand that now. So when we say this, let's see. Oh, that's really wet. It's really wet. I got it. Okay. Okay. Mind dump it and you will get an A+. That's right. Oh, okay. So, is there anything else that we need to for sure go over? Tomorrow, I think with Zoom, we can probably, it would probably be good for you guys to be able to hear yourselves ask questions and whatever. So yes, mind dump it and you'll get it. I'm telling you. So, okay, real quick while we do this. So here we are, atrial depolarization, ventricular depolarization, ventricular repolarization, right? SA node fires, spreads through the atrium. AV node delays.
On where?
Depolarization spreads through the ventricles. And then we've got relaxation, right? So we have here, about here, we have no electrical event,
What's our living next?
right? It's resting. What was the term yesterday? It was not isovolumetric, resting. What was the term yesterday? I don't remember. Anyway, your camera is too low, too high. Your camera is too high, too high, too high. All right. So here we go again. Here we are.
I don't have that.
We have our SA node.
Drew it from yesterday. Just a couple that you missed. I need to resend it to you.
Draw it out. Okay. So here we have, here's when our SA node fires, causes that depolarization wave,
Is it here?
right? So we're starting to cause that depolarization wave, and then it's going to eventually get to the AV node. When the AV node gets it, it delays it for a split second, right? We have a delay, and then we have this portion where we have the traveling through the bundle branches and the Purkinje fibers, causing that depolarization, right? And then after that portion, we have a section where we're not getting anything going on at all. It's just hanging out. Okay? We can go over this again tomorrow, but I just want to make sure that you understand that. Do we have any questions about stuff from the first quiz? So that when we're talking about the first quiz, we're talking oracles. Sorry, that's a stupid window. Oracles. Did everybody get and understand the coronary arteries, right and left, the anterior descending, the circumflex? You watch the stents and what a big deal about those stents are and how you can see how the blood flow is cut down. Anyway, have you guys been using Zoom for other classes? Can we do Zoom? Can I do Zoom on this?
Yeah.
Have you done the Zoom with any other classes? So I see Matea, Ellie, Garrett, Michael. I know Joe's probably around here. Chris and Naomi. I haven't seen them, or Gavin. I haven't seen those three at all. You haven't used it yet. All right. I'll try to figure it out tonight. I'm not working tomorrow. And that way, usually everybody's on there and we can talk and have a good time. And you guys can ask questions. We are going to do a quiz on Friday. Okay. And for the most part, I can't monitor you while you take your quiz. So, I mean, technically, you probably could use your notes. And so
That's what he told them.
they're allowed.
The teachers to do open book.
Oh, I guess you're allowed to do open book. So if you're allowed to do open books, then I don't really know if I should necessarily allow you to do corrections. But anyway, we'll see. So anyway, that is what we're going to. I'm trying to think what else in chapter. Let me see what in chapter 2 real quick to make sure that. Do you guys understand the pressure portions, right? Where we talked about. So if you look at slide starting at 35. All right. So if we're starting at 35 and we're talking about pressures, right? We're talking about the different. Yeah, great. So now none of you are ever going to tune into these lectures anymore if you're going to do open book. So, did everybody understand the pressure portions here? Two terms you have to understand. Okay, if you don't, you're in trouble. Systole and diastole. Okay, when we were talking about the heart here, and we have our atriums, and we have our ventricles, and we have our valves here, and then we have our semilunar valve, our pulmonary one, and then we have one over here that goes to the aorta, right? Okay. So, as long as clean core there. Oh yeah.
What?
We will always be here as long as Clay and Cole are there. Feel the love. Okay. And so let's see. The 35 says mid to late diastole. So the heart is completely relaxed and the AV valves open and the semilunar valves are closed, right? So when we are in mid to late contraction or relaxation, okay, when we are in mid to late relaxation, these valves are open, allowing blood to spill and fill the ventricles. Okay, as this blood spills and fills, it'll reach probably close to 70%. And then the next portion happens to where we start to get some ventricular, we get a ventricular contraction, right? Or sorry. We get an atrial, make sure we're able to see this. We get an atrial contraction, which is going to go ahead and fully empty the atria into the ventricles. Okay, so at first everything's relaxed, blood is spilling down. 70% of this volume will be filled by just allowing it to spill through because the pressures are not there. So this valve is open and these valves here, the semilunar valves, are closed. Okay, so as that blood fills down, 70% of that's going to fill. Then these atrias are going to contract, right? Because think about this, right? The atrias are going to contract, right? Here's our P wave, right? So the atrias are going to contract and go ahead and eject the last bit of blood into the ventricles. Once that last little bit gets in there, that pressure in here starts to go up. And what's going to happen when that pressure goes up? These are going to close. So then at this point, these are going to close. And then we enter this portion, right? And that is the ventricular depolarization. And so what happens here is we have this phase here where now this is going to contract and it's going to increase the pressure in these ventricles. And when it does so, for a while, it's going to just build pressure. The pressure is going to increase enough to close these valves, but not quite enough to get through the semilunar valve. And they call that the right? Volumetric contraction, meaning nothing's moving, the volume of blood is not moving, but we're increasing the pressure. Eventually, that thing's going to squeeze hard enough to push blood through the valves and on out. Okay? And then you're going to get this portion here, where we get ventricle repolarization, where these are going to relax again, which means the pressure is going to go down, which means these things are going to close. The semilunar valves are going to close. And then these are going to open back up and allow blood to start to spill again. All right. So if you can understand even this portion, that's going to help you with these different phases here. I don't know how well you're able to see this, but I'm hoping that that is going to, I hope that helps. I hope that helps. So anyway, I don't know about hard. I will try and get a Zoom thing going and get you all invited and give you plenty of time. I'm not working tomorrow. And so if mornings worked better than at lunchtime, you don't want to spend and having your lunch watching me lecture. Oh, of course, Smithers. You have to show me a video on that anyway, because your thing really did help. I do like that OBS software. And I really like doing it at work because I can have both of those things at the same time. And I think that helps, but I do like being able to draw things out. Anyway, we'll work it out. So I will try to get that out. I will try to get a time to do that. Okay, that sounds good. So anyway, what else? You guys can pray for Joe's father. He was asking for prayer today, so you pray for Joe's father. If you guys have anything else you need me to pray for, why don't you email me, and I'd be happy to do that. This is less than ideal. You know, I'd much rather be in the classroom and teaching you. I feel like I'm not able to monitor how well you are or aren't doing. I feel like I don't know. So if you need help, please tell me. I'm going to email out a. In fact, let me do it while I'm talking to you. I'm going to email out. No, I'm not, because there's answer pages in that. I'm gonna email it out just here in a few minutes. Quiz review 2. Okay. I want you to work on it. I want you to try and get it done. And then any questions that you have associated with that, we can do tomorrow. Okay. So, anyway, I'm done. I think I've beaten a dead horse. If you have any questions, save them for tomorrow. I'm going to send you quiz review 2. And then you can get that, start working on that. And then quiz review 2 will let you know if you are, if you're struggling in anything and you're not understanding something. Okay. So anyway, let me know if you have questions. I'll work on Zoom tomorrow, and you guys work on quiz review for tomorrow. And if you haven't got quiz 2 in, quiz 1 corrections or quiz 1 review in, you better get it in before I smack you around. All right. Have you later. See you later. Have a good day. Bye.